This is Laura. I've been editing the Triduum today, and it's gone from an hour 20 to 43 minutes at this point. I know I've had to take out a lot, and I really kind of ran out of steam when we got to the Easter Vigil, so apologies for some rapid cuts at the end. I've also added a wonderful quote from Father Richard Rohr on the Eucharist, and you can find that in the episode page of whatever podcast platform you're listening to.
My father always played a game with me when I was a teenager, and on the way home, he would say, "Well, Marci, if you were the priest, what would you have preached?"
Oh, love that.
Isn't that great? And I knew the question was coming.
Welcome to Laughing Mystics, an unorthodox journey through the liturgical year with Laura Lewis Barr and Marci Maderi. Okay, we're recording. Oh, Marci, I want to tell anyone listening how we got to today's recording.
All the arm wrestling
Yeah.
that we had to do in the negotiations.
Yeah, let's hear.
We had to pull in the UN.
Let's hear your memory of it, and then I'll tell mine. What do you remember?
I remember that, I just really love liturgy, and like I wanted to do a podcast on just Holy Thursday, and then one on just Good Friday, and then maybe two for the Easter Vigil because it's so big and fantastic. And I remember you saying, "No one's going to listen to this, Marci. No one." And so I thought, okay, how can we compromise? So
My memory is that I said, no one will listen to so many episodes.
and I just don't understand that.
We're talking about like 5 or 6 episodes for the
well,
week.
Because this is such a great week, Holy Week, and the Triduum, those 3 holy days. Like, I just don't understand why people don't want to like bathe in that and just like live in it, roll around in it. Maybe I'm just a church nerd.
Well, that's true. You are. And it's a beautiful thing. I just am amazed and love. So Marci and I negotiated, and I said, please talk about what you love about the Triduum these 3 days. Tell us. And that's what today is about, and I don't know what I'm going to say. I come totally unprepared. Marci's been preparing, and
Wow. You got to get all the important parts.
she's so alive with this. It's a beautiful thing. So, Marci, start us off. What do you want us to know?
Well, okay, the Triduum, the 3 holy days, right? Bigger than Christmas. Easter is bigger than Christmas. And certainly these 3 days together. So during Holy Week, we start with Holy Thursday, Good Friday, and the Easter Vigil, which is the Saturday night before Easter Sunday. So those are like, they're a movement of 3, right? So like in music, you don't applaud between the movements because one leads to the next.
Oh, wow. What a great analogy. Wow. Okay.
Right. And so we really need to look at the flow. And so in some ways, it's really great to do this in one podcast. So to really appreciate the movement from the beginning to the end.
Okay.
And during these 3 holy days, we relive, we don't act out, we are actually reliving these crucial moments in the life of Jesus.
Can we stop there? Because I think that's so deep what you just said. Can we talk about this reliving versus acting out?
So when I think acting out, I'm putting on a show.
Okay.
Reliving it is transformational for me. I am being changed by the doing. It is happening again.
Yeah.
It is alive in a new way
Yeah.
in this moment. Not just remembering something that happened in the past,
Yeah.
but that it is present.
Yeah. So for each of these days, I'll be interested in dipping into that.
Okay, so let's start with Holy Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
You good with that?
Mm-hmm.
So Holy Thursday begins with a reading. Like every Mass, we begin with a reading from the Old Testament. And the Holy Thursday is from the book of Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we've got Moses and Aaron in Egypt, and they are preparing for their exodus, for their leaving. And so that 10th and horrible plague, the death of the firstborn son, is about to come over Egypt. And so God is telling them how to spare their own children. They sacrifice an unblemished lamb, and they put the blood of that over their door or on their lintel,
Yeah.
And so then the angel of death will pass over, and that they are to eat unleavened bread because there will not be time for the bread to rise.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a really significant moment for Jewish people today. And consequently, because Jesus was Jewish, it's a significant moment for Christians.
Yeah.
Because this is the meal that Jesus and his friends were celebrating on Holy Thursday. They were celebrating the Passover meal.
Right.
Which is why when Jesus, during the Seder, there's 4 glasses of wine. On the 3rd glass, Jesus takes it and says, this is the cup of redemption, that I am redeeming all of creation. That's the significance. And that's why we in church today, we have unleavened bread, because the Passover had unleavened bread and the Last Supper had unleavened bread, because it was remembering the Passover. So, those echoes are just astounding.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this poem is by Lynn Unger. So Lynn Unger is not a super well-known poet, but she is really fantastic.
Mm.
I highly encourage the readers, if you like poetry, go find out some Lynn Unger for you. And this is called Passover.
Mm.
And so it goes back to that original Jewish Passover meal, but has some really interesting nuances. They thought they were safe that spring night when they dabbed the doorways with the sacrificial blood. To be sure, the angel of death passed over them, but for what? 40 years in the desert, without a home, without a bed, following new laws in an unknown land. Easier to have died in Egypt or stayed there a slave, pretending there was safety in the old familiar. But the promise from those first naked days outside the garden, there is no safety, only the terrible blessing of the journey. You were born through a doorway marked in blood. We are, all of us, passed over, brushed in the night by terrible wings. Ask that fierce presence whose imagination you hold. God did not promise that we shall live, but that we might at last glimpse the stars brilliant in the desert sky.
Mm. Wow, that's beautiful.
So what I really like about that poem is that, the journey is hard.
Yeah.
The journey is hard, and there are no guarantees in life.
Yeah.
but accompaniment, right? In that brilliant sky. And it's like Jesus's journey isn't easy either
Right.
on this Holy Thursday.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
he's going to have his own struggle, his own pain.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful.
Thanks. So that's the first reading. The second reading is from 1 Corinthians, and it's actually the retelling of Jesus's words at the Last Supper.
Okay.
So Paul's saying, I received from the Lord what I could also hand on to you. And so we know that in the early church, they were remembering and reciting Jesus's words that he spoke at the Last Supper. This is my body, right? Do this in remembrance of me. This is my blood. Do this, and as often as you drink it, do it in remembrance of me. So to keep that moment alive.
Yeah.
It's just interesting that this comes in the second reading. It doesn't come in the gospel.
Mm-hmm.
But it does say that it was alive then, like the early Christians were doing this. And that's why it's in Paul's writing.
I have to ask, were the early Christians, this idea of drinking blood, Joseph Campbell and Jung looked at the symbol and applied it to other rituals in the world that have to do with blood. Somebody who grew up Catholic myself, I tend to ignore this incredibly graphic, horrible, cannibalistic image. So, can you speak to that?
The cannibalistic thing. So, this is maybe one of my favorite things. It's from Dorothy Day's book, Loaves and Fishes. And it made such an impression on me. And so in the 1930s, when she converted to Catholicism, her brother said, wow, that's like gross and cannibalistic. And she writes, but isn't that what a mother does? She feeds the child in her body with her blood, the blood of her heart. That's a paraphrase. So that life-giving, my body for you.
Circling around, so, it's kind of weird that I went literal there because I never like to go literal. I like to be figurative, metaphor. So the early church, when they were repeating these words and remembering, were they seeing it as a metaphor? Because the church now doesn't treat it as a metaphor.
No.
You just treated it as a metaphor. Dorothy Day did too.
Well, to help us understand how God feeds us. Right?
Okay. But this literal blood, like we're really drinking blood.
I don't know. Like, I wasn't there in the early church.
But now, even.
But now, right, it's transubstantiation.
Right.
In the Catholic world. It's not just a symbol. It is the body of Christ. And consequently, in the Catholic world, we treat the consecrated host, or the body of Christ, in a very special or reverential manner. We keep it in a tabernacle.
Yeah, I'm suddenly smiling because what's hitting me is that I'm always saying not just a symbol. I'm always saying words get in the way, and that symbol is a living, powerful, amazing truth. Bigger than our brains can handle. You're always reminding us about the bigness of God. And when you're describing the church, and even as a child learning about this, it's like it's the blood. It's the blood of Christ. Believe it. It's true. It really is. And at the same time, I don't think any of us are thinking that we're drinking hemoglobin. And so that is like maybe the church fathers and mothers really creating something that is exactly what I see as what a symbol is. It's true. I mean, they're acting it out. They're saying it's true. It's not a fake thing, but it's not literal. And so I love that paradox that we hold.
And the church does teach that wine and bread that are consecrated are different.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
They have to be different. Yes.
In substance, they are different. Like, right. And you can push up against this.
No, I
certainly,
love it.
But it's like a baptized person can never be unbaptized. Like there's something that has changed in that person.
Yes.
On that molecular level. I
Yes.
don't get it.
Right. Because the words get in the way. And so we say it's different. It's been in a ritual that changes it. We are changed. It is changed.
Mm-hmm.
When we get literal and go, well, it's not a fleshy piece of meat and it's not hemoglobin, we miss the point. That's what happens when we get literal. But we also don't go, well, it's just. It's not just. It is this thing that is sacred.
Mm-hmm. I used to work for a community of religious sisters in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Shout out to those Franciscans who have a special chapel for adoration. And there would be two people sitting in front of the consecrated host or the Eucharist praying for the world.
Yeah.
And one of the older sisters told me when I worked there, she said, "Oh, Marci, we gaze at the Eucharist so we can see Christ in others, so we can see Christ in the world."
I have been in chapels with the Eucharist, and I have felt the sacredness. It's like there is nothing like a truly sacred object. And this is because it starts 2,000 years ago.
Right. And even before then, right?
Even before then. Yeah.
So, and this is great conversation talking about Holy Thursday, because Holy Thursday is the institution of the Eucharist. Right?
Yeah.
And we live it again. We relive this. Interestingly, though, the gospel is from John. And at the Last Supper in the Gospel of John, Jesus washes the feet of his disciples. Peter, of course, is the foil always. I love that. and really quite the doofus often. Oh, don't wash me. Jesus says, I've got to. Oh, then wash all of me. And Jesus, you just see him shaking his head like, oh my gosh, this guy. Got to say it like I'm from Wisconsin. This guy. So this is the line, though. Jesus says, "You call me teacher and master, and rightfully so, for indeed I am. Therefore, the master and teacher, I have washed your feet. You ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that I have done for you, so should you do for others." Right? And then we do it. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. How does it get done?
Different churches do it differently. Where I often worship on Holy Thursday, there are maybe 5 or 6 stations with a chair and a basin and a pitcher and a towel, and you go up, you sit down, you take off your socks and shoes, and the person behind you washes your feet. So that sometimes someone you know, And sometimes it's a stranger. And then you put your socks and shoes back on, and then the person who washed the feet sits and has their feet washed.
Mm-hmm. It's powerful.
It is powerful. I was just talking to someone about how a lot of people don't like to have their feet washed, like Peter, because they're a little embarrassed.
Yeah,
by
I
their
would
feet.
be. Yeah.
And it is such a intimate act
Mm-hmm.
of washing feet,
Yeah.
of washing another's body. I mean, we wash the little bodies of our babies,
Yeah.
and small children, but we really don't wash anybody's bodies until they're older
Mm-hmm.
and they can't for themselves. And then we also wash the bodies of those who have died.
Yeah.
So that sacred touch, that cleansing.
And the feet. I
Yes.
mean, yeah. You could wash my hands, I'd be fine. But the feet.
Right? They're such a piece of humility on our body, and humus meaning earth, that they touch the earth.
Yeah.
And so the humility of the feet.
Yeah. And, if I'm in the desert wearing sandals, my feet get pretty dirty.
Mm-hmm.
Socks
Yeah.
and shoes, my feet are okay. But in the summertime, they're callousy, they're yuck.
Right.
Yeah.
And my feet sweat. So that makes everything turn to mud, right? Nasty. Nasty. And then at the end of Holy Thursday, there's a Eucharistic procession that the priest takes the monstrance, which is the gold sunburst that holds the Eucharist, and processes through the church, and the whole church follows. And we sing as we process. And at my church, we go outside even, and we come back in, and then we put the Eucharist in an altar of repose, or a side altar. And people light candles as a symbol of their prayer, right? They pray. And the whole church stops and prays, right? To remember Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane. And he says, stay with me, stay awake with me, pray with me.
Yeah.
Which is such a beautiful and vulnerable moment in the life of Jesus. I don't know if you've had anybody ever stay awake with you or stay with you in an anxious time.
Yeah, I have. My husband has been beautiful at moments like that, when sleep would have been the thing that he really needs, but he gives it up because I'm having a really bad night. Something's wrong, I'm sick or something. Yeah, it's a beautiful gift to give up sleep.
It is. And that power of presence,
Yes.
Like he might not necessarily even have to do anything for you. Just his presence is comforting.
Exactly.
Right? Holding his hand. Let's move on to Good Friday.
Okay.
What happens too after Holy Thursday? So Good Friday, we come into church and the altar is bare. It's stripped. All the decorations are taken down. It is bare. Very much like the body of Jesus, right? Who is stripped and bare. And, on the crucifix, we're just very loving to Jesus and put a little cloth over him. But people who were crucified were naked. Adding to the humiliation.
Right.
The first reading is from Isaiah, and it's talking about the suffering servant. There's a whole suffering servant section about, being treated harshly, being the lamb led to slaughter. So we're setting Jesus up as this sacrifice.
Yeah.
Right? And that it's been foretold. Then we have the psalm. And just, I want to note to the listener that that Good Friday has a real different tone than Palm Sunday. Palm Sunday is really suffering. Jesus in this passion, right, or in this moment, is much more in control. And then that leads into the letter to the Hebrews, where Jesus is often referred to as the high priest, both the sacrificed and the high priest, and the mediator between humanity and God, as sacrifices would be. And then the gospel is the passion, according to John. The early Christians were being persecuted. So Jesus being comfortable in charge to the point of his death was really important for that community.
Sure. Well, like you've said, it's choice. Jesus makes the choice. We are invited to make a choice. You're always saying we can choose what happens when we suffer, how we engage with our own suffering.
After we read the Passion, there's solemn intercessions or grand intercessions. So they're very specific for Good Friday, and there's silence in between, so they take longer. And it's let us kneel, right? They say for, the world or whatever the intercession is, let us kneel. And then we all kneel and we're silent together and really praying for whatever was just spoken. And then let us stand, and then we all stand.
And what is the significance of the slow pace and the kneeling and the standing?
I think it's just to literally slow it down, to really take some time to pray, to think, and not just go through the motions. Not that anyone would ever do that. But that we really think about what we were praying for, and we do it in a real intentional way.
That is the struggle with all of these rituals, right? To keep myself awake enough to what they're about, and certain things, as I've said before, certain images, symbols, certain, substances, ashes or bread, they resonate with me, they move me. The kneeling and standing
Doesn't do it for you?
No. No, I can think about it as a little aerobics within the, it's...
Yeah, and great. Isn't it great we exercise our bodies? However, it is praying with our bodies.
Yeah.
Right? It's like making the sign of the cross.
Yeah.
Touching my forehead, chest, and my shoulders. It's inviting my body into the prayer.
Yeah. So as I stay with this, the sign of the cross is a lovely gesture. I love it. The kneeling and standing is harder. It's harder on my body. So I resist it. I think if I thought more carefully about that, I'm being invited into a physical representation of the struggle of that day, of the movement of that day, that it's not an easy physical day. Maybe I can take that in, that ritual in deeper, and not just be annoyed. Oh, up, down.
Right.
But, this isn't explained in general.
No, isn't that sad?
Well, yeah, I think it is, because then I don't necessarily understand. I mean, sometimes maybe on an unconscious level I'm getting it, but I think to help me know why we're doing this is much more powerful.
And when I work with kids in, thinking through the Mass, I do try to talk about some of the gestures and body positions, like when we stand when we hear the gospel,
Mm-hmm.
that's significant. I'm standing at the ready to go out. After that, there's the adoration or veneration of the cross, right? When I was a kid, we all kissed the cross.
When we study something,
Mm-hmm.
I think we can fall in love with it.
Mm-hmm.
And so there have been centuries and centuries of decisions about the liturgy, the Mass, and, well, let's do it this way. No, let's do it this way for this reason. And so for Good Friday, we're not going to consecrate. We're not going to have wine. And there are all these reasons for it that you know and that you love. But for somebody like me, it becomes, I guess I just don't have the whole context of it. So it's like I can really love No and Kabuki because I studied it, and somebody else, it's just kind of annoying. I think the more an art form or a religious practice, the more kind of centuries of work on it, the more layers, the more there is to know. I think the harder it is for somebody who doesn't know as much to always penetrate to the goodness, the amazingness of it. And there isn't always enough time to study everything. I'm just feeling that as you talk, like there's a whole world that you know and love and clearly love that you could tell me about, but that's a little different than being immersed in it for a long time of study. And it's one of the ways I think we become separated from each other in the world. And it also begs us to study things more and to get the depth of, and for me, Jungian psychology has been my study for decades, and I'm just a beginner. So it is that finding some place, ground to till and plant and harvest and...
So, yes. And I just encourage people, who haven't studied and written papers on this, just to come and experience the liturgy and soften yourself, to let the liturgy wash over you, just to experience it and notice the emotions. Because all these liturgies, even the order of what we do first, second, third is intentional to take us from point A to point B. So to feel that inner transformation.
That is so lovely. And so you're suggesting that when I'm at Good Friday and they don't consecrate and they don't bring out the wine, that it's going to impact me in a certain way.
Right. What does it say to you? What do you notice? Are you missing it? Do you think, I'm thirsty? It's like art or poetry or anything. Liturgy speaks to us where we are in the moment that we are. It's that I'm involved in this liturgy, that the Holy Spirit touches my heart in a unique way, which is why, we do this every year, right? Because I'm different. I'm different every year.
Yeah.
And it's going to touch me differently every year. And it's important for me to remember.
Yeah. And this kind of awareness, this kind of intentionality is hard.
Yes.
And I can feel my own resistance to, as we talked at the beginning, to one day after another of this kind of intense, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. And I think it's not my first language anymore. Catholicism isn't my first language. So I think there are other things that I could do day after day after day.
Right.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, and there's also an intensity to these 3 days that does pull emotion, and that can feel like a lot. I've got to feel it again and I don't want to.
Yeah. I guess the one thing I do want to say, though, about this day after day is I think my big transformation was moving from it's about Jesus' sacrifice to it is about my own. My own crucifixion, my own death to ego, and my own act as high priest and sacrifice at the same time. And I think that's where I get uncomfortable with day after day of what feels like just the other message. And I know maybe so I'm busy translating, which is a harder thing to do, especially during the adoration of the cross, because it's so focused on that one point of view.
So the veneration of the cross could also be you touching the cross, your own cross too.
Yeah, that's a translation, though, for me of what each of the, old Italian women who are standing in front of me kissing the cross and crying. I feel a sense of I'm not in the same church that they are. I'm not in the same faith that they have. And that can be a little, that's my challenge. It's like we're in this Palm Sunday and Triduum, and these have been hard episodes for me because it is so focused in a way that I call literal, and yeah, it's hard. It's been harder for me.
Well, they are very specific, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, you made the translation for me, so I'm assuming you're saying that's there. It's embedded there.
It's all there.
Yeah.
It's all the layers are there.
I love that.
All right, let's talk about the Easter Vigil.
I actually love the Easter Vigil.
I'm so glad you do, because it is definitely my favorite of the whole church year. So the Easter Vigil, right, the night before, tradition says we begin at sunset.
And there's a fire outside.
Yes, we begin with the darkness. We light the fire.
You couldn't create a better set of ritual images.
No way. No way. And then there are prayers around that new fire. And then we take fire from the new fire and we light our new Paschal candle. Then we process into the church. As that procession is going forward, everyone in the church has a little candle and takes a light from that Paschal candle, which is the Christ candle, Paschal meaning lamb, the Lamb of God. And the church is dark, too. There's no lights on in the church.
So great.
Oh, really great. And so then all of a sudden it's lit by all these candles. This time we have 7 readings.
Yeah.
7 readings. And after each reading, there's a psalm. And it follows or tells the story of salvation.
Yeah.
For humanity. And the story of salvation, of course, begins with the creation of the world. And then we have the book from the book of Genesis of Abraham. And then we have from Exodus, right, with Moses and crossing over the Red Sea, let my people go. So, and it just goes on, and Isaiah and more Isaiah and Ezekiel and Baruch. So this whole thing, and it's to tell the whole story. It's not for the faint of heart, right? You have to settle in and hear the story, right? Right? Like Lord of the Rings. We need 3 movies, 3 long movies. So it's that settling in to really hear the story. Then we have the Gloria. We turn on all the lights and we ring the bells. All of those 7 readings were from the Old Testament. And we have the Gloria signifying Jesus's birth. After the homily, then we have the Litany of the Saints. We remember all those who have gone before us. And then there's the actual baptism. So now everybody is ready. Like, what? Here we are. Now it's the baptism. We're all so excited. They're given a white garment.
As you're just listing all of these wonderful ritual moments, I'm thinking about how living a symbolic life, a life filled with ritual and a life that involves another dimension than the nuts and bolts dimension of our reality, seeing the mythic reality. You're describing something so wonderful. And I think another reason why sometimes these rituals aren't working for some of us, I mean, they're clearly working for you in spades, but they're not always working for me and other people I talk to. And I think part of that might be because, and this is what I'm all about, is this practicing this way of living, this way of seeing, this way of being. So I'm newly baptized and you give me a white garment, and I need to go, this is my new soul, and really get it. And I think we need to bring that more into our daily life, so it isn't just once a week at church, or it isn't just once a year at Easter, but that we're always dealing with the ritual, the symbols of our inner life.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
I think rituals are essential for healthy human living.
Yeah.
Essential. When we start a ritual, we're on one bank of the river, and the ritual is the bridge that brings us to a new bank.
And you've suggested rituals in my life of burying things, of burning things, and when I approach them with sincerity and belief, and trusting in the power of the imagination, they change me. They do take me to that other bank. But I think part of this podcast for me, why I want to do it, is to help all of us get some of what you have, Marci, in the way that you have it, in the way you have it, and I have it in the way I have it. And we all are going to find it in the way we find it. But I think sometimes, because rituals have been codified by the church in this beautiful way, I get it, it's beautiful, but it's not individualized anymore. I think for some of us, sometimes the ritual just doesn't work.
It is a ritual for a community, which is why there's more structure to it, because it's about bringing a community of faith from A to B.
Yeah, I get that. I guess part of my struggle with you, and by struggle I mean struggling with this material, part of the struggle is to go, I believe in this, and yet culturally, we're losing the youth in a big way. I mean, the church is becoming less, fewer people go to church, and so something isn't working. And so that's partly what interests me, and I know, and Jung started working for me in a major way, and so bringing that in. But has there been a change in a ritual, a tweak? See, this is the part of the tension too, like, because you know so much, you can love the historical way things were done because you have that appreciation of it. You're a connoisseur of it. But has there been a tweak that, well, of course there was Vatican II, the major tweak. And we are children of that. Has there been another tweak that you've made or experienced, or maybe when working with young people, that brought something alive for them in terms of Easter or just the Mass in general? Or
Well, I think participation makes liturgy
Yeah,
alive.
you're right.
Like being able to read a reading or distribute Eucharist or be an usher or be an altar server. All of those things make it more real, or be in the choir.
Nice.
My father always played a game with me when I was a teenager, and on the way home, he would say, "Well, Marci, if you were the priest, what would you have preached?"
Oh, love that.
Isn't that great? And I knew the question was coming. So, like, I was listening in a really intentional way and putting thoughts together, and then listening to the homily and thinking, oh, wait, no, oh, okay. So I think that's, I have to credit my dad for my, the sowing the seeds of the theologian that's within me.
No kidding. Wow. Yeah, it seems like you're calling destiny.
All right. So continuing with the Easter Vigil, right, after the baptism, and we've got
I thought we were done.
Oh, silly
Are
you.
we close?
Oh, we are close. We are
Okay.
close. So we send those wet people off to put on dry clothes, right? And we sing, and then we celebrate because Christ is alive. Okay, that's it.
Okay. Oh, I survived it.
Thank you. Thank you for engaging in this, and thank you, listeners, for hanging in there. And see
We'll
you
see
soon.
how I edit it.